Hi guys, this is Stacy Tonkin with Beyond the Table. We are here with Eric Roberts. He is a professional player. He's only 21 years old and he's a 735 already. So he's been really making a storm at some of the tournaments. He's been playing most of his life since he was about 3 years old, and he is not a stranger to competition. So we're going to see what he can tell us about his mental game and how we can apply that to help us get maybe where he is. So what the first question we had is what mental tricks help you to stay calm when you're playing in front of a crowd or feeling nervous?
I would say lots and lots of deep breaths. That is key for me to stay calm because it slows my heart rate down. Because obviously, whenever you're in front of a big crowd, your nerves are all crazy and everything. Your heartbeat is going crazy. So, what calms me down is lots and lots of deep breaths.
That I've actually heard that from seasoned players as well as beginner players in competition, that the breathing is really important. And if we can implement this to start before we start getting to where you are, maybe this will help a little bit. That's great advice. Okay, question number two. How do you reset your mind after making a mistake during a game?
So, I whenever I make a mistake in the game, um, I try not to get mad at myself right then and there. Obviously, I'm a little upset about it, but I try to put it in the back of my head. So whenever I get home or after the event, I can work on that mistake that I made and that. But I try to put it in the back of my head so I don't worry about it, and I just focus on the task at hand because you can't dwell on the mistakes that you made in the middle of a match because it'll hurt your game for the rest of the match.
That's great advice. I know a lot of people really get stuck on that because they feel like they could do better and they're not, or they practice a shot and then they miss, but there's a lot into that. And in order to really master that shot, it's not about the mistake you made, but learning how to move forward with after what you did wrong, which could actually help a lot in the future games. So that's great advice. Okay, and the last question. What's one piece of mental advice you wish you had known when you first started playing competitively? So for you, because you're kind of young, obviously 2 years old, but when you started maybe in your first competition, your first big competition that you can remember, what is one piece of advice you would tell yourself now that you know?
Um, Not getting mad is well, don't get mad because it's not worth it. Because I used to get pretty mad at myself whenever I first started competition, and if I would have known uh, that it's not worth it, and I can just work on my mistakes later and like stay calm throughout the match, um, then I felt like my mental game would have been uh, there would have been more progress in my mental game by now if I would have learned that earlier in my career.
Okay, that's great advice. Yeah, I definitely see though that when most of us start, we don't, you're self-reflecting, like you said, the nerves there, people are watching, you're evaluating what you're doing, you've put a lot of practice in. But one of the things I think that also gets us to where we are now is that experience of having those mistakes, because that was a mistake that you've learned from that now you don't do in a match. And I think that without those experiences, without those bad, scary experiences, you wouldn't have that knowledge now to be able to change it. And from where you are doing pretty great. I wish at 21 I was a 735. I'm still only at 552. So, but I don't have a lot of time to practice. So listening to the things that you guys do helps me, and I'm sure will help a lot of up and coming players. Okay, and the last thing I was going to ask you now was just basically if you had something you wanted to tell juniors or younger players or people out there that aspire to be better, what kind of message from your heart would you give them?
Keep it fun no matter what, because if it's not fun, then don't play and that. But just try to keep it as fun as possible and enjoy what you're doing, because whenever you're enjoying what you're doing, that's whenever you're playing your best. So just keep it as fun as possible for the rest of the time that you play.
That's great advice too. Yep, because I know all of the hard work and all of the things that we put into the game. Sometimes if you don't really focus on the things you love about it, it can become a job. And we don't want that to happen. So that's great. And thank you so much for coming and enjoying and joining us today and letting all the players know some of this great stuff that they can implement in their mental game. We hope to see you in some future tournaments. I'm sure that we're going to see you in the top 10 soon enough in those big, big events.
Hopefully, hopefully.
Again, looking forward to seeing you.
Looking forward to seeing you too.